You know what the toughest part of the IELTS exam is? Speaking. Reading, listening, writing, well, these are manageable. But speaking, you have to sit in front of an actual examiner and talk. The jitters are real. The fumbling is real. That awkward silence when your mind goes blank, very real. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Speaking is actually the most structured part of the entire exam. Every single question you will get falls into a specific type. Opinions, preferences, comparisons, and more. And once you know these types, you're never starting from zero again. But here's what most students will miss even after they know the types. It is not just about what you say, it is about how you start your answer. That first sentence is your building block. Get that right, and the rest of your answer almost builds itself. Hey everyone, this is your mentor Niveta. I have been helping students crack IELTS for the past 10 years. I have gone through almost every real paper, broken down the speaking section specifically, and tracked down what a band 8 and 9 students actually say versus what everyone else says. And today, I'm not giving you a lecture. This video is going to be interactive. Every question type comes with a quiz, and you are going to answer before I reveal it. By the end of this video, you will not just know the question types, you will know exactly how to open your answer like a high scorer does. Let us get into it. Before we get into the question types, let us spend 60 seconds understanding how the speaking test is actually structured, because this changes everything. IELTS speaking has 3 parts. Part 1 is the warm-up. The examiner asks you about yourself, your habits, your preferences, things you do in your daily life. Questions like, do you enjoy cooking? How often do you exercise? Did you like school as a child? These are meant to ease you in, but do not let these fool you. Your band score starts here. Part 2 is where most students panic, and they panic for the wrong reason. The examiner hands you a task card. It has a topic and 4 bullet points on it. You get exactly 1 minute to prepare, and you can make notes, and then you get to speak for up to 2 minutes without being interrupted. Think of it like a mini speech. Topics are always descriptive. Describe a person you admire, describe a place you visited, describe an experience that changed you. The key here is not to memorize. The key is to have a structure so solid that you can fit 2 minutes confidently on any given topic. Part 3 is the deep end. The examiner goes abstract. Now, it is not about you anymore. It is about ideas, society, trends, and opinions. For example, why do people prefer cities over villages? How is technology changing education? Or what can governments do about pollution? This is where band 8 and 9 students truly separate themselves. So in this video, we are going to cover question types from part 1 and part 3 specifically, because those are the 2 parts where your starting expressions make the biggest difference. Let us start with part 1. First up, preference questions. These are the most common questions in part 1 and honestly the easiest to mess up, because students just say I like or I prefer and stop there. The examiner has heard that 10,000 times. These questions sound like, do you prefer tea or coffee? Which do you like more, reading or watching films? Now here's your first quiz. Okay, the honest answer, all 4 are strong. But the one that top scorers reach for most naturally is A. Here's why that one hits differently. It combines 2 things at once. The hedge, which is I'd say, and the preference, which is I tend to lean towards. That combination sounds natural, not rehearsed. It gives you a second to think while you're already speaking, and it works perfectly for every preference question you will ever face. Sounds like this in a real answer. I'd say I tend to lean towards tea, mainly because I find it lighter and easier to have multiple times a day without feeling jittery. See how smooth that sounds? That is what you're going for. Moving on, habit questions. The examiner wants to know what you usually do. How often do you listen to music? Do you usually cook at home? Or do you read for pleasure? Quiz time. And this one is not a question, so pay attention. Got it? The answer is D. I often. Now, I often am not wrong. It is grammatically fine, but it is basic. It sounds like the kind of answer a band 5 or 6 student gives. High scorers avoid it because it brings zero flavor to the answer. Option A, B, and C all sound natural, conversational, and slightly more sophisticated without sounding rehearsed. But option C, in particular, is a favorite because it sounds formal enough to impress but casual enough not to sound like you memorized it. I'd say listening to music is something I engage in on a fairly frequent basis, especially when I'm commuting or trying to wind down after a long day. That is how you take a simple answer and make it sound like a fluent speaker. Next up, past experience questions. These usually sound like, did you enjoy reading as a child? When was the last time you cooked something new? Or what did you like doing as a kid? Now get ready for the quiz. This one, the top pick is C. And here's why this one is gold. It sounds like a real human being actually remembering something, not someone reading something from a script in their head. The word actually is doing a lot of work here. It signals spontaneity. It signals that you're genuinely engaging with the question. Real answer. That actually brings back memories of my childhood. I used to love reading storybooks, and it was something I genuinely looked forward to every single day. See, it's natural, warm, and a band 9 energy. Now let us talk about future questions. The examiner asks, would you like to travel abroad? Do you think you will change careers? Or are there any new skills you want to learn? Back to the quiz. The standout here is C. That's definitely something on my bucket list. It tells the examiner immediately that you have a desire, and it does it in a way that sounds completely natural and personal. It is not a textbook phrase. It sounds like something a real person would say in real conversation. Next up, we have description questions. Very common in part 1. For example, what kind of music do you like? Or can you describe your home? What type of person would you say you are? Let's get back to our quiz. The winner is B. I've always been drawn to. Why? Because it signals a genuine connection to whatever you're describing, and it gives the answer depth right from the first word. Real answer. I've always been drawn to music that is calm and melodic. It helps me relax and puts me in a better headspace, specifically after a hectic day. This is not just a description, this is a story. That is what separates Band 8 from Band 6. Alright, last one for part 1. Hypothetical questions. It would go like, if you could live anywhere, where would you live? If you could change one thing about your city, what would it be? Or what would you do if you had more free time? Back to the quiz. The top pick is A, if I were in that situation. This one is doing something grammatically very specific. It is using the correct conditional structure. If I were and not if I was. That one small grammar choice signals a high level of proficiency to the examiner immediately. Now let's look at the real answer. If I were in that situation, I'd probably choose a quiet coastal city. I really enjoy being close to nature, and the pace of life near the sea just appeals to me deeply. Grammar plus fluency plus depth. This is your Band 8 formula right there. Now we are moving into part 3, and I want you to shift your mindset here. Part 1 was personal, and part 3 is going to be intellectual. The examiner is no longer asking about you. They are testing whether you can analyze, compare, predict, and argue. And the way you start your answers in part 3 signals your level instantly. Let's go. Now let's look at the first question type under part 3. Importance questions. How important is social media today? Why does physical health matter? Or how significant is education in someone's success? Are you ready for another quiz? And it's a not question again. D, it's important because that is the answer the examiner hears every single time. Option A, B and C all add something extra. A has a H, B uses strong vocabulary, C connects importance to a reason in a natural way. All three sound like someone who actually thinks before they speak. Real answer. It's something that really matters since it not only helps us maintain our physical health but also plays a huge role in mental well-being, which is often overlooked. This is Band-Aid thinking delivered in a Band-Aid sentence. Next up, we have reason questions. Example, why do people enjoy shopping even when they do not need anything? Why do young people prefer cities over towns? Or why is mental health such a big topic now? Are we ready for another quiz? Here, D is the power move. There are a couple of reasons for this. Because the moment you say that, the examiner knows you're structured. You have signaled that multiple ideas are coming. That is exactly what part 3 rewards. The ability to develop and sustain an argument. Here's the real answer. There are a couple of reasons for this. Firstly, shopping can be a form of stress relief and entertainment. Secondly, aggressive marketing and social influence create desire that people did not have before they walked into a store. 2 reasons, clearly delivered. This is your Band-Aid part 3 answer structure. Next up, we have comparison questions. For example, how is city life different from village life? What is the difference between learning online and learning in a classroom? Or how have people's spending habits changed compared to previous generations? Time for another quiz. X is quite different from Y. It is correct, but it is plain. It brings no structure, no vocabulary, no analytical angle. Options A, C and D all set up a comparison in a way that immediately shows the examiner you understand how to contrast two things clearly. Here's the real answer. What really sets them apart is the pace of life. City living tends to be fast, opportunity driven and quite stimulating, whereas village life is slower, more peaceful and deeply connected to nature and community. That is the comparison that paints a picture, and that is what gets you a Band-Aid. Moving on, problem solution questions. Example, what problems does pollution cause and how can they be solved? What are the challenges of urbanization and what can be done? Or why is it mental health growing issue and how should society respond? It's time for a quiz. Options A, B and C all move from problem to solution in a structured and natural way. They sound like someone who's analytical, not like someone who's just speaking. Let's take a look at the real answer. One major problem is the impact on public health, and that can be addressed by enforcing stricter environmental regulations and actively promoting cleaner renewable energy resources. Clear problem, clear solution, sophisticated vocabulary, Band-Aid all the way. The last question type we have, which is prediction questions. For example, how will technology change education in the future? Do you think people will work less in 20 years? Or what will cities look like in the next decade? Last quiz of the video. How would a Band 8 or 9 candidate open a prediction answer? The top pick is C. It's hard to say for sure, but I'd imagine. This is called hedging, and hedging in prediction questions is a Band-Aid feature because it shows intellectual honesty. You're not pretending to know the future, you're reasoning through it, and that is what the examiner is actually looking for. Here's the real answer. It's hard to say for sure, but I'd imagine technology will make education far more personalized and flexible. Students will likely have the ability to learn at their own pace through AI-driven platforms rather than following a single fixed curriculum. Hedged opener, developed idea, confident delivery. That is how you close out part 3. Alright, the quiz is over. How many did you get right? Be honest with yourself. If you got 9 or above, I want you to hear this clearly. You are already thinking like a Band-Aid speaker. The pattern recognition is there. Now it is about drilling these expressions until they come out automatically. If you got below 9, that is actually the better place to be right now, because now you know exactly what to fix. You have a checklist, you have the expressions, and now you know which question types you need to work on. Here's one thing I want you to walk away with today. The examiner forms their first impression of you in your very first sentence. Before you have explained anything, before you have given any examples, or before you have even finished your first idea, they already have a sense of your band. That is how trained they are. So your job is simple. Make that first sentence count. Take these 12 expressions and practice them one by one. Do not try to memorize all of them today. Just pick 3 that felt natural to you. Use them this week. Every time you practice speaking, build from there. If you found this video useful, you know what to do. And if you want the next level of this, tell me in the comments which question type you struggle with the most. We will build the next video around that. See you in the next one.